Wanted to talk about CNC machines a little bit today, and my fancy little Grizzly mill drill here that we've converted to CNC. I've run this enough to where I'm getting fairly comfortable with it, and finding a lot of its shortcomings. And this machine, when it was converted, was just as a learning tool, was the only reason I converted it over, basically. And now we've got products that are getting ready to be released that are probably going to demand a little more high production than what I'm able to produce with this little mill. It's producing some good parts for me, and I'm going to continue to run it for a while, at least until we've got the first run of these of my little stock produced, and then we're going to decide where we're going to go with it. My plan had always been to, once I learned this machine, to probably step into a Tormach machine. And I'm not sure that's the way I'm going, and there's several reasons for that. So I'll kind of talk to that a little bit. But anyway, what I've done is we've moved the keyboard, the mouse, and the controls up and over. If you remember from some of my previous videos, I had them mounted out on the side on a swing arm, and it really wasn't convenient. I don't have enough shop space for one thing, and it didn't really pivot to the position that I wanted it to be in. So what I've done is I've moved it over here. It's a little bit closer. I've got a little easier access when I'm standing in front of the mill to operate it. And it's still not ideal, but I think it's a little bit better than what it was, the little bit that I've run it so far. So I've added the jog shuttle to it. And what I added was one of these little contour shuttles. Shuttle Express is what it is. It's virtually the same one, if not the exact same one, except for the branding on it that Tormach sells with theirs. I think it might work out pretty good. I had some trials and tribulations with getting this to run. I'm running an older XP machine, and when I initially installed it, it wouldn't recognize the shuttle at all, and it really screwed up my CNC control on this machine. The installation of this particular plug-in has been done before. You go to Mach 3's website or Newfangled Solutions website and go to the plug-in section, and there's a plug-in for the Shuttle Pro and the Shuttle Express. It's called the Shuttle Pro is what it is. You just have to copy that one, and in my case I installed it onto a thumb drive, plugged it into my Mach 3 computer, and you go to plugins under configuration, I believe it is. Let's see if we can open it up. If you go under configuration and it's configure plugins, why you just go into those plugins, and it's Shuttle Pro, and it's loaded. Now when you load it in, you install your thumb drive, and then you're going to just go into your configuration. See, go into the Mach 3 folder. I don't know if that's going to show up on the screen very well or not. We'll see if we can zoom in on it. There's a plugins folder there. You just drop it into your plugins folder. I think if we open it up, yeah, it shows a Shuttle Pro. But if you just paste it right into your plugin file, why that will install it once you close it out, and you have to have Mach 3 closed out. Once you open up Mach 3 again, why that plugin will be installed in there. So from that plugin, under configure plugins, if it's not checked, well, you can go ahead and check it to activate it. Go into configuration, and I haven't finished configuring this yet. It shows the Shuttle Pro here, but for the Shuttle Express, it's these 5 buttons right here. On this second row down, there's 5 buttons, and those are what you configure. The first button I've configured is my E-stop, which is a reset. The second one's X, Y, Z, and I have not configured this last button yet. I don't know exactly what I'm going to put on there. We'll figure out what that is at some point in time, but for now I've got it going. From there, you're going to have to do the same thing. Go to the Contour website and download the drivers for this for on it. Now in my case, where I'm running XP, it's kind of a legacy set of files. I don't remember the file number, but there's 2 sets of configuration files. One of them's for newer machines, and the other one runs on Windows XP, Windows 7, I believe, and maybe it's 2000. Anyway, I needed the older drivers. I installed those drivers, and there again, you plug it in. It's an execute file. You go ahead and run that file and it will load those drivers. When I installed it on this machine and then tried to run the mill after that, everything was really sluggish. The mill would run, but it was slow, and I kind of messed up my acceleration and velocities and my settings for the mill itself. So I'll have to go back and verify those again, that I've got those back to where they need to be. But it took me a couple of times. I uninstalled those drivers twice, I think, and reinstalled them, and it still would not run, and I thought, I'm probably not going to be able to run this little Shuttle Express on here. I took the drivers back off, rebooted the system, I think about the third time, and then everything took, and it's running fine. So now I've got control on everything. Let's see here. We're powered up. Do a reset, which we could have done probably with our button here. Yeah, we can do our reset right from there. X-axis, for example. Center wheel's a jog wheel. Outer wheel's a fast velocity wheel. You can adjust it by what your speeds are, by how fast you run it. Y-axis, same way. Jogging. And it runs the same way. So I think it might be a neat little addition. I wanted the e-stop was one of the things I wanted, to where I could have a pendant in my hand basically and hit the e-stop if I needed it, without being, having to reach way over to the control panel and then still keep an eye on what's happening on the mill. So anyway, I'll leave a link to it in the bottom if anybody's interested. They're about $60, which is less expensive than the Tormach. I still have to add my markings to it, which we're just going to run stickers around the edge, I think, with a nice printed out, control interface on there. So that's kind of the configuration for the mill. I've updated tooling quite a bit. We've got some stuff coming both from Tormach and from, I think I've got a couple other suppliers that we've got stuff coming in from, but I went ahead and ordered a Superfly for on this. Kind of made me cringe a little bit to spend that $150, but nonetheless it's something that I probably needed, and being an insert tool for that much, you've got 4 sides on those carbide inserts. It's an AB Tools tool, is who the manufacturer is, but they're Tormach branded, and we've got that coming. Part of the reason that I've upgraded a lot of this stuff, or I'm in the process of upgrading, is because I've got that stock in production. I've got parts being produced now that are coming off the machine as I get them programmed in and coming off. All the prototyping's done with that as far as the machine parts. So we're actually building production parts for that. Once the first run of these is done, we're going to more seriously consider how we're upgrading machines. This machine has done fine for the prototyping of it. It's helped me learn along the way. It's allowed me to get the programming down right, but it's not going to produce the volume that I'm going to want it to produce. It's just slow. It's a converted machine. As I said before, it was a learning experience is what it was. So I feel kind of fortunate that I've been able to produce some good parts off of it that are putting out a fairly high-end product. But there again, it's going to be time to advance. Now, my plan had always been to move into a Tormach machine. I'd planned on putting an 1100 in. So my thought was I didn't mind investing in TTS tooling and that type of thing. I'm not sure that's the way I'm going to go, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One of them is now Tormach's advanced to the point where they've got the MX machines or the BT30 machines, and we're into servo machines and everything. So if I was going to buy a Tormach anyway, it would be a BT30 machine. So there we have a lot of TTS tooling, or we will have a lot of TTS tooling that would not directly transfer over to that. So one of the advantages of being in a Tormach is kind of lost on me now, because I've invested into the the TTS tooling, and I would be changing anyway. And the reason I'm sharing this is because I think a lot of the home shops are going to be in the same position at some point in time. As you start to produce a product of your own, start to do job shop work or whatever the case may be, you're going to kind of face the same decisions that I think I'm facing now about how I want to grow with this. So one of the questions is, do I want to go into a Tormach machine that I'm going to have to fully invest in tooling again, basically? And that's not entirely true, because a lot of it will transfer over, but tool holders for the most part are not going to. So that's one of the major investments that you're going to have. So when we come to that crossroads, am I better off to invest in a Tormach MX machine, where I'm going to have to spend the money on tooling again, or am I better off to make one or two steps up, or what I consider to be one or two steps up, and step into either a Haas mini mill, and if we're not a whole lot more money, and when I talk not a whole lot more money, it's kind of relative with what you put on those machines, what tooling you add, whether you're doing tool changers, that type of thing. So am I better off to go into a BT30 tool Tormach MX, or am I better off to go into a Haas mini mill, or one step, what I consider to be one step above that, and go into a Haas VF2? So anyway, it's some of those things to think about. So I'm not sure which way I'm going, not sure what's going to happen. I think probably, one of the reasons I'm still investing in TTS tooling is I think to go into a MX or the Haas mini mills or VF2s, I think my first step is not going to be that far. I think what's probably going to happen is I'm probably going to invest in another manual mill and do another conversion. And there again, a couple reasons for that. One of them is I like to build stuff. Another is I can share that with you guys, so you can go along with that journey if you're interested and kind of see what's happening there. But I also think that's another relatively inexpensive step in the direction that I need to go. That will still allow me to use all the TTS tooling that I bought and continue to build on that and produce parts at a little bit higher rate of speed, maybe a little bit better quality part, and keep going that way. And then if we're in a position to do it, the jump would probably be either into a Haas mini mill or a VF2, depending on, there again, what we're going to do. Got lots of other stuff going on in the shop. We've been able to play with some of the other projects we've got going on, although I don't have a whole lot of video footage shot yet. We're going to be doing some rivet testing on Zenith style AVEX rivets. There's been some questions about the strength of off-the-shelf from generic suppliers, we'll say, AVEX rivets, as opposed to buying your rivets for your airplane from Zenith. So my fixture's done, or virtually done, for testing those. I've got rivets on the way. They'll be here, either later this week or the beginning of next week. And what else do we have going? Working on some stuff in the reloading room, doing some 3D printed stuff, mainly for the reloading room. So eventually we'll be showing that. And anyway, I just wanted to give you a little update of what was going on, kind of catch up, so I don't lose track of what I've done, what I've shot footage of, and what I want to share with you guys. So hopefully you found something a little bit interesting if you've been following along with my journey here. And any comments you've got, leave them in the comment section for me below. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch.